shit set up. So
You got here when? You didn't get here at 8:15.
it was around then.
Nah, close to 8:30, 8:45.
No, it was not that late.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see.
Well, let's see what.
I'll tell you when it was.
Do you have a precise time of when you got here? I'll see.
8:18 p.m. I was at the gas station, bought a pack of cigarettes, 2 Gatorades. Now,
Yeah,
it
you're
took
at the
me
gas station
3
at
minutes
8:20.
to get from the gas station to here. So
That's close to 8:30, almost 8:40 then, right?
3 minutes, 8:18.
Uh-huh. Sure.
Like
yeah.
8:21,
Uh-huh.
I was probably here. I have a receipt, bitch. Oh God.
Yes.
You were live? What
Yes.
the hell? You gotta tell me when you do these things. You can't just go live.
It's no fun if I do that. No, come on. Live now. Open the right one. Come on.
You gotta give it a minute. It's got a buffer.
Not even buffing, it's just trying to decide if it even wants to open.
No, YouTube has to buffer the... Never mind. Now you're live. Or you should be.
Should be, yeah.
Says you're offline.
I know.
Huh.
Control what video you play next. Why are they recommending stuff like that? Go away.
Uh-oh.
Might help if I spell user correctly. Yeah, because it says live now here.
But if you go into it, it says live stream
Oh,
offline.
there it goes. Now we're live.
Okay. Yeah, it just took it forever to realize. It says live now here.
Yep, we're good.
But if you go into it, it says live stream.
That's weird. I guess Google must have been, I don't know, off for a little bit.
Confused.
Yeah, confused.
They're like, why did you start it and end it, you jerk?
Yep. So, shit, where's my mouse? There it is.
Now I can pause that and chat.
Yes, you can chat. Should be able to chat. Should work.
Remember that thing about accounts, Charlie?
What accounts?
With Chrome? Or not Chrome, but Google accounts and signing into things?
Oh.
That high came from my Grim account.
Nice. Yep.
So I need to get my OpenIntel account set up on my iPad so that way I can use that instead of my Grim account, especially considering the Grim account's going to go away in like a week.
That would be useful, yeah. Yep.
But I can at least still make comments for the time being.
Yep.
We're completely live and nobody else can hear me, can we?
Oh, no, they can hear you. So it's kind of this
Okay.
cool thing right now is that they hear a ghost talking, but there's no face to the voice.
Oh yeah, that's true. They're like, I wonder who that guy is.
So,
Hey, I saw your Grim pictures that Andrea Schluter took. She did a really good job.
Yeah, she did. Yeah, it's pretty much like what I use for my professional picture everywhere now.
yeah. I tend to do the same thing. I just have basically one picture for my professional stock.
I used to work with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's what I use for anytime I need a professional image. That's what I use. She did a really good job on them.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Did you see the actual pictures or just the ones on like Grim's website?
Just the ones on Grim's website. And the ones she posted on Facebook. Because I saw them, and I was like, hey, that's my friend. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah, I need to take that website down too.
That's so sad.
Put up an ad.
You can leave it up, and then if you get any referrals, you just send them to me.
There you go.
No.
What? I'll give you a kickback.
So, I guess we can begin this week's episode of Bits and Bytes. And joining me this week is obviously Drew, as you've been able to see and hear. And also Mike, who's remote currently. So it's the three of us, and we're trying a new little thing.
Hi, Mike.
Hello again.
And Mike has curated a few interesting articles on the web of interesting happenings this week. So we'll be here to discuss it, and it'll be the three of us discussing it. So it should be even more interesting and comical.
That's the idea.
Yes.
There we go.
You got Darth Hater.
Mm-hmm.
What's Mike's nickname?
Charlie named me Tech Wizard.
Yeah,
Tech Wizard. And I'm the dumb one.
No, we just need to come up with a good nickname for you. That's all.
Lifesaver. Melts in your mouth, not in your hand.
I'm just thinking that.
All right. So what's the first one we got here, Mr. Miller?
So there wasn't nearly as many exciting articles this week as last week, but there were quite a few data breaches and vulnerabilities that were still well worth discussing.
Well, as long as there were no more Mongo issues and Mongo breaches.
Well, no, we got one of those.
Oh, of course, yeah.
Since this is obviously a tech webcast, and most tech people have ordered equipment or parts or what have you from Newegg, I think we'll start there. So Newegg is the latest victim of the MageCart script that is being used to steal credit card information from different companies. So far, British Airlines and Feedlify were both had breaches of all involving credit card data because of this, and now Newegg is the latest victim. And the script is actually extremely simple. It looks like it's probably getting injected through cross-site scripting. It doesn't specify exactly how it ended up on their website, but basically the site neweggsstats.com, which again, pay attention to what domain you're going to when it comes to this kind of thing. Unfortunately, if it's in a script, there's not much you can do. But basically, they bought this Newegg stats domain and used it to post the data to there for pretty much the past month. Anytime anybody bought anything off Newegg, their credit card information or debit card information or what have you was being sent through to this Newegg stats, which will probably later be used to buy a bunch of stuff or be used for identity theft, depending on how much data they have for everything else. So obviously, if you have used Newegg, they did send out an email to customers. One of the things they did is they specified it as a very sophisticated attack. The problem with that is it's not all that sophisticated, but it's one of those, most companies are going to say that when they have a data breach, it was very sophisticated because they don't want to go, we left a vulnerability on our website and they kind of stole your stuff. So,
how easy is it to guard against that kind of an attack?
I'll actually let Charlie take this one because he does a little bit more web security stuff, especially with his platform.
So in theory, they shouldn't have been able to have done this because Newegg should have had something in the code that gave it what list of URLs data was allowed to be sent to. And JavaScript was allowed to be, well, So the one thing I'm thinking of dictates where you can pull JavaScript from, but if the attacker managed to upload this code to the actual Newegg website, the Newegg web servers, this code would be running on as if it was Newegg.
Yeah.
Because it was actually on the Newegg server, right, or the Newegg URL.
Yeah, it doesn't exactly specify how the code ended up on their site. My assumption was cross-site scripting, but
cross-site scripting wouldn't have been persistent, though.
Yeah, that's true.
You'd have to trick.
They probably had. They actually were able to modify their code base.
Yeah.
How did they get it? So how did they modify the code?
So it sounds like they actually got access either to a production web server or to the Git repository.
Yep. My assumption was Git.
And in that case,
Somebody probably got fished.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Newegg has a Git.
Well, I'm sure they do. Yeah. Because Newegg is an application.
Right.
And every application should have some sort of.
Well, they may be using Subversion.
Or something, yeah. But either way, a developer, an authorized developer, will have access to log in to the system, upload source code to be tested and deployed to the production web server. And that's just normal.
Yep.
And so if somebody was able to break, guess, fish, ask somebody on the street.
Speaking of asking on the street, I have something very interesting about that kind of stuff. Not necessarily asking on the street, but one of the later articles deals with asking for things.
Oh, no. Nice. So yeah, there are quite a few ways that you could upload something like this. And the payload itself, it's nothing fancy. It is just,
minuscule, yeah. 15 lines.
Yep. It's just...
It's basically binding a post to your mouse. So when you
no, it's when you release your mouse.
Yeah.
Because mouse
touch
up,
end, right?
It serializes the data, so it takes the entire form of your checkout card, including your credit card, your billing information, anything that may happen to be on the page, puts it into a single string, and then sends that to neweggsstats.com.
And posts it.
Yeah, as a post message, yes. As opposed to a get. That way you can send data.
Suppose at least they're stealing it through HTTPS, though.
Yeah, they were nice. Well, do you know why they did that?
So that way it wouldn't be visible?
No.
Or encrypt the connection between their server?
No, because if they did it over HTTP...
It would have thrown the cert error because it was loading insecure content.
Exactly. Yeah. It wouldn't have worked. And so they actually needed a certificate, which meant that a certificate authority had to have signed this certificate.
Probably Let's Encrypt.
You think?
Hey, I use Let's Encrypt. Be nice.
Hey, I use Let's Encrypt. I love Let's Encrypt. It's a fantastic thing. The problem is you can go out and get whatever the hell.com you want and get a cert for it and use it for malicious purposes.
Yeah, as long as it resolves to your IP.
The positive outweigh the negative, and in my opinion, for every site being secured, because like 70% of the web's now using HTTPS because of Let's Encrypt and efforts like that.
Yeah.
I mean, before I would have never been able to secure my blog or anything like that because it's all my money that comes out of my own pocket, and I'm not going to spend $100 for a cert a year when I can just now use Let's Encrypt and it just works.
If you do want to go with the traditional route and you don't want to pay $100 for a certificate, there are actually providers around that. Granted, you still have to do it yourself. But I think for about $10 a month or $10 a year, you can get a basic single domain certificate from Namecheap.
Yeah, I've seen Name. I considered that before I used Let's Encrypt.
Yeah, that's what I've been using for quite a while.
I use Let's Encrypt on pretty much everything.
Yeah, I just never trusted Let's Encrypt. I mean,
I've never had any issues with it.
Like it did everything in an automated fashion, and it updated your production web servers automatically. I'm just
no, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
Because it has to renew the cert.
You can look at all the code and see
every
what
3 months it renews the cert.
Yeah.
But I had to write a script to make it do it for me.
Well, now there are scripts that'll do it for you, but
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Should probably do that on my non-production mail server. Because I always get yelled at every time I turn it on. This certification is expired.
Yeah. But yeah, this Newegg attack, it would be more interesting to see how they got it uploaded.
Yeah, that's kind of what
yeah,
my
because
thought
like
was.
they put a tweet in here from Jonathan, whatever his name is, and it says randomize the form and input field names, map them back using session information on your server when you process checkout, which is probably best practice.
That would work, but that would mean that your automated testing is next to impossible.
True. The real question though is how do they get onto the server?
Yeah, that's the biggie.
Yeah.
Like if somebody has access to your production web server, there's no level of protection or obfuscation that's going to protect it. They have
my assumption is they had access to the code repository, just because I think they would have caused a little bit more havoc if they would have had actual access to the server.
Well, maybe, but maybe not, because if their goal was to steal credit cards and steal valid credit cards,
that's true,
that possibly were on corporate accounts and could have a, let's say, $100,000 limit or $10,000 limit per day.
True.
They want to be as quiet as they can. You don't want to make a lot of noise.
That's true. moving right into data breaches. As Charlie mentioned, Mongo. So we had another MongoDB breach. This one was another marketing company, so it wasn't anything crazy, but another one great for phishing type attacks or for social engineering in general. And this one was actually a coupon type company, from my understanding, called SaberSpy. It's a Yahoo company.
The fuck?
But they had 43.5 gigs of data that contained almost 11 million email addresses that was exposed to this MongoDB database that was not protected. So
That's awesome.
That's a lot.
that's really all I have to say about this article. I don't even really know.
43.5 gigs. 10 million, almost 11 million. Man.
Oh, so that's interesting. It says all of them Yahoo based.
Yeah,
So
that is weird.
Yeah, SaberSpy is a Yahoo company, so I'm assuming
you had to have a Yahoo account to use them?
I would assume the people that were probably using it probably had Yahoo accounts.
It's
Since
a
it's like
daily.
a Yahoo service.
So SaverSpy is a daily deals website operated by coupons.com.
Yeah, I saw
Oh,
that. So it was a coupon type site.
So like one of those Groupon type things, or
Yeah.
Uber or Geek or whatever the fuck it's called, where they have different things each day, and it's some really good deal for it, right?
That would be my assumption. It was just another MongoDB breach. That's what caught my attention.
And it was already tagged as compromised in June. It contained a warning database with a README collection and ransom note demanding 0.4 Bitcoin to get released. But the ransomers must have screwed up the script because all the data was still there. Good job. Can't even do that right.
Well, if they're only asking for 0.4 Bitcoin, so what? $1,000, $2,000, whatever it is, for 43 gigs of data?
Yeah, that's pretty small.
Yeah.
Well, because that kind of goes back with the ransom people, or the author of the ransomware, basically, that tried to do that, not knowing what they're doing. They probably did one of those where they wrote their own crypto again. Just kind of like the conversation we had last week about don't roll your own crypto. You just blocked out the screen, Charlie.
So why is Mongo in particular experiencing all these?
Well, Mongo is not. The
Okay.
thing is that Mongo is a great non-relational database.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't have tables per se. It actually has pages, and each page of something can have different data on it. And
So it's flat file, basically.
yeah, it's basically a flat file, but it's still indexed. So if you need to look up somebody with, find people by their email address, you actually have an index of emails and which page they're on.
Okay.
And then if you want an index of their phone numbers, you have another index table of their phone numbers pointing to which page they're on. So that way you can achieve a similar thing as relational without having the overhead of a relational database. So if you have a billion records, a relational database will struggle, or may struggle.
Right. So it's quicker.
Yeah.
But why is it more vulnerable?
It's not.
It's not.
It's-
So from my understanding, MongoDB, when you set up the initial installation, is just basically, it's meant to be like a private server, not publicly exposed.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Elasticsearch is, where there's no real default security. You need to set it up.
Because it's
And
a
it's not
database.
when people are just not setting it up.
Yeah.
Gotcha,
Because
okay.
no database.
So it's not Mongo's fault. They have a
No.
solid program. It's the administrators.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who are setting this up.
No database.
Leaving those default. So in version 2.6.0, they actually fixed that. And now the administrator has to turn that on.
Probably. They, as of that one, they probably switched from listening on everything to listening on localhost only.
Right.
Or they set
Yeah.
a password by default or something.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because the general thing is that no database should ever be publicly visible
Right.
in
Correct.
any regard.
There's no reason for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
If you need clients to be able to access the database, you build an application with an API layer of your own custom code that you can control access and audit and everything else that will proxy back to your database. You never have your database publicly visible. It's just,
Right. Bad idea.
but
Yeah.
these Yahoos are doing it, and yeah.
So they're just basically leaving that port open.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be open. And so then you can see it.
Yes.
So if you were an attacker, even if you knew my database password and username.
Well, it doesn't have a username and password.
Oh.
That's the thing.
It's blank.
Nice.
So you just see the port open, you connect to it with a Mongo client, and there's your data. Or there's their data.
Ah, okay.
Like I said, kind of like how Elasticsearch is,
Yeah.
unless you actually build something to secure it.
Yeah. That's the level of difficulty of this exploit. You do a quick search in Shodan for this port number. And that's it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Shodan should send us some swag, because we do mention Shodan quite a bit.
So far, once, yeah, at least once an episode.
Well, and another thing I'm going to be talking about talks about Shodan, so...
Well, it is a great utility for being able to see what all issues are out there, and, yeah, what not.
I need a Shodan shirt. I wonder if they have Shodan shirts.
Probably.
Maybe that's something... Well, right now I'm wearing... You can't see it, but it's a Barracuda shirt.
Yeah.
And my shirt last week was a KnowBe4 shirt, so I just need to start like having tech swag shirts that I wear for our webcasts.
Google, I don't think is going to be much help in this case. Shodan swag.
Isn't it SHODAN?
Shodan. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Google thinks I mean shonen.
Shonen. Shonen.
No, I don't mean shonen. I mean literally Shodan.
Maybe we need to... Oh, here, let me try something.
Oh, that first screen actually reminds me of something. Do you guys know where Shodan's name originated from?
No, I don't.
So there was a... You're familiar with the game BioShock, correct?
Yeah, vaguely.
Okay, so there was an old game called System Shock.
Okay.
I believe it was from System Shock. And like the main entity or the tech enemy or whatever was named Shodan. So that's where they actually... That's the origin of the Shodan IO
Nice.
name. And feel free, if anybody's out there, that if I'm wrong, it wasn't System Shock. I know it was a video game, but I'm pretty sure it was System Shock that it originated from. But feel free to correct me in the comments if I'm wrong.
That's all I can find.
Yeah, that's not...
That's not even right.
No. But yeah, that would be a great marketing thing for them too, to have swag that they offer, like official swag. Because
Yeah, I would wear it.
yeah.
Moving right along into the next data breach. This one I haven't really read into too much, but it's another large one that I feel needs some attention. And I haven't really seen much about it other than when this came out. And Brian Krebs is really good about covering data breaches. And so this one's GovPay Now leaked 14 million records, or more than 14 million records. And I'd never heard of this site, but evidently GovPay Now is an Indianapolis-based company that basically, if you have citations or court-ordered fines or like bail fees or that kind of stuff, you can make these payments through this website. Well,
they also have credit card readers at the DMV. That's what you use at the BMV when you get your license plate if you're using a credit card. I've seen the Gov swipe.
Okay.
That's
scary.
That's why I just use cash.
Yeah, me too. Or a check. I write a check.
Well, it used to be like if you had to go there with like an ATM or something, it was like a $15 charge or some shit like that. It was ridiculous. So it's just like, why even bother?
Yeah.
And then I had actually a traffic citation I had to pay not too long ago, and I tried to pay with like my credit card since they were offering that kind of thing, and it was actually more of a hassle to try and do that. So I ultimately just went, got cash, and came back.
Yeah. Yeah, I can never remember what method of payment they do at the time, because sometimes they don't accept cash, sometimes they have a fee for credit card or a fee for check, and it's weird.
Nobody charges a fee for cash. So that's
No, but sometimes they just don't accept it because they can't trace it or something. They can't verify where it came from.
Fortunately, the government doesn't really give a shit as long as they're getting their money.
You would think, but I've actually had Chase Bank do the same thing. They don't like to accept cash.
Really?
Yeah. Because they can't verify where it's coming from.
Yeah, as long as there's no ink spots all over it, or
yeah. Well,
Maybe glitter.
I guess they want a paper trail from account to account to account. And with a check and with electronic transfers, they have that. But with cash...
Just don't pay in crisp $100 bills.
There we go. Nah, grab a bunch of $2 bills.
Yeah, there you go. If you can round up enough. But evidently, in January, GovPayNet was acquired by some Securus Technologies.
Wait,
and
their name is Securus?
Securus. And actually, Brian mentions that although the name may suggest otherwise, Securus does not have a great track record in securing data. Because in May of 2018, the New York Times broke the news that Securus' service for tracking the cell phones of convicted felons was abused by law enforcement agencies.
Perhaps they should consider rebranding. Not Securus, or Unsecurus, or Insecurus.
Now that strikes me as odd because law enforcement would abuse a technology to spy on citizens? That would never happen, right?
You're crazy.
That doesn't connect with me. I don't know.
Gosh.
Carrollton.
Speaking of spying on people, the next article I had was actually about a company called Nuo, which I'd never heard of, but they are a surveillance system.
Nuo?
Company? Yeah, Nuo. I was actually trying to figure out who they were because I've never heard of them. But the vulnerability that basically they're calling it Peekaboo, which I'm pretty sure there's actually a Peekaboo company, I was thinking, for surveillance. It's been a while since I've looked at surveillance cameras, but I was thinking there was something. I know there's, trying to remember what the names of some of the ones, like if you just go to Newegg and go to Newegg. If you just go to Newegg and cameras and see what options
Just don't buy anything.
Don't buy anything.
But basically, it's a remote code execution vulnerability.
So what I like about this one is that it's spying on people,
yes.
basically.
Yes. But I guess there's 100 different camera brands and more than 2,500 camera models that are impacted by this vulnerability. So it's a pretty significant one. And then it mentions their NVR2 Mini. It's a portable network video recorder. It also doubles as a NAS. Evidently, it also has this vulnerability.
Oh.
The total number of impacted devices.
Installations.
Yeah, so the number of the actual impacted devices is kind of hard to tell because of how many there are. And they also notice that there's a backdoor.
Of course there is.
But that's only locally available.
Correct.
Well, so I have seen one thing where if you have multiple physical locations, you will map your DV or your network video cameras or network cameras to the public web, or give them their own IP or something like that, so that a centralized monitoring station can connect into those cameras from across the WAN and watch them.
Absolutely, and that's a great way to handle it. Just do it through a VPN.
Exactly. Yeah. Have a box there so you're not running the stuff over the public WAN.
Yeah. Nothing should run over public WAN other than web traffic.
And that's even iffy.
All the sites should be HTTPS.
Yeah, so I'd be interested to see kind of what the technology stack and specifically what manufacturers are using this vulnerable stack.
I couldn't find a whole lot of information on it. Like I said, I'd never even heard of Nuo before. But yeah, it's... Which if you actually go and do searches for cameras on like Shodan, for example, there's all sorts of things that are vulnerable and exposed to the internet with no username, password, or any of that kind of stuff.
Right. What? Did you find something?
Yes, the third link down.
Stingray devices?
Yes.
Yeah, I've tried to avoid bringing those up.
But they're so fun. It's such a fun little technology stack of... Well, yeah, So the Stingray devices, if nobody's heard of them, they are a man-in-the-middle attack where you have a little briefcase or device that will emulate a cell phone tower because it's a public specification. You can build a device that does this for pretty cheap, a couple $100 and you have one. And so anybody within a quarter-mile radius of you, they're going to connect to the strongest tower, which is you and not the tower. And then from you, you capture everything, monitor everything, all the phone calls, all the text messages, all the data, everything. Store it locally and then forward it to the legitimate tower so the person never notices.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. Unfortunately, part of VoIP proxying is that you need to set up the DID forwarding correctly. And it sounds like these guys maybe didn't do that for 911.
These guys would be your federal government.
No. These guys would be the manufacturer who makes the Stingray devices.
Ah,
He sells
okay.
it to the federal and state governments.
Gotcha.
And these are one of the fastest ways to get arrested in Vegas during DEF CON and Black Hat, because there have been instances where individuals have showed up there and spun up their own Stingrays, and they are very, very quick to there's pretty much comments on Twitter about people seeing agents walking around basically with directional antennas, figuring out where it is and tracking the person down.
Nice.
They get very aggressive at stopping those, which rightfully so. I mean, there's a lot of crime and stuff that happens in Vegas, and if you're interrupting 911 calls, it's all fun and games until.
There's two things with stingrays that concern, with the government use of stingrays that concern me. The first one is it's not exclusive. Mm-hmm. So if I am a government agency operating a stingray and you just happen to be close to whoever I want to get, I'm going to get you too. And to me, that's kind of an invasion of my privacy because I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, because technically there's no warrant for your communications.
Exactly. So you have that deployment, and then of course I'm an EMT, so anything that interrupts 911 services pisses me off. But it's just not a very good thing for the government to be messing around with.
But yet, it's an easy way to bulk collect a bunch of information, especially if you're in a crowd, or if there's a protest going on, or a convention with a lot of people in one area. You just have one little van sitting in the middle of everything, or one of those cool little police tower things with a lookout. You have it installed up there.
So my question to you guys is, how would a normal layperson be able to tell if they were connected to one of these boxes and not a cell phone tower?
I'm not sure.
Scary.
So there is actually a specification in GSM and Edge where the tower can request encryption. And the phone knows that. The phone knows if it's an encrypted connection or not encrypted. Unfortunately, no phone manufacturer displays that information to you.
So
you don't see when you actually transition towers or any of that kind of thing.
No.
Right.
Because if they show that, then that would be revealing to people who, I'm going to say criminals, who like privacy, which is silly, but people who like their privacy are now criminals. It's weird.
Now, one means for detecting, but this is not necessarily a layman thing. Wiggle, the Wi-Fi analyzer, actually picks up cell phone towers.
Yeah.
So it could be used to try and, you might be able to detect one that's, if you're, in your house and there's one that's got an absolutely perfect signal and the rest of them are all I don't know what the signal ranges are for.
Plus, they're going to have their unique ID. So if you recognize what's normal, and then one of them that's unencrypted all of a sudden pops up with this weird manufacturer, something's going on.
You call that Wiggle?
Yeah.
Wiggle.
I think I might.
Wiggle Wi-Fi. It's a war driving app. I wish iPhone had it because now I have an iPhone.
Ew, I'm sorry.
I actually like it, especially for the picture aspect with the live photos. Now that I'm a parent, being able to capture babies moving all the time.
Wiggle Wi-Fi war driving.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely, highly recommend it. It's a fantastic app.
Another version is there are third-party apps that will do this. See if I can actually show it. Kind of. Hey, that actually works pretty well. So it will show you cell phone connection, strength, tower name, tower IDs, what the manufacturer is. It will display a lot of information. So
Yeah.
Oh, very
But
cool.
again, that goes back to a layman is not going to necessarily know how to
right.
do that kind of thing or even be aware of
Right.
the option.
Yeah.
You're just going to use your phone and assume that it's going to tell you if anything's wrong. And unfortunately, they don't.
Yeah. This one in particular also has a map. So you can see it actually shows you geographically where the cell tower is at.
Huh.
And so for registered cell towers, they have their geographic location registered with the FCC,
Yep.
which this app picks up on. So if you have a tower that's floating in the middle of nowhere, that could be a little concerning.
The other option, I mean, from a law enforcement perspective, and say they are really trying to do what they're trying to do, and they're trying to catch somebody that's a criminal, the other option is just enact CALIA at the cell phone tower and just pipe all the communications from any cell phones that are basically that you have the warrant to tap and pump all the data to Utah.
Right.
That's another idea.
That's the proper way, in my opinion, rather than doing something like this and potentially disrupting critical communications.
Mm-hmm. But that requires them to actually contact a third party, go through proper channels like a warrant, stuff like that. It's just a nuisance. You know, when you're trying to find information on everybody, or a group of people like the DNC or the what's the Republican name or acronym?
RNC?
RNC? Is it RNC?
Republican
okay.
National, yeah.
Oh, okay. Or the RNC, or whatever faction that you don't like. Just gets in the way of that.
So moving on to the next vulnerability. A lot of people have external hard drives now, especially with so many pictures and all that kinds of stuff that everybody takes. Everybody's got so much media that they have that they want to try and preserve. And if you're not using a cloud provider for that kind of thing, which can get pricey, you can get external hard drives for cheap, especially now, multiple terabytes. So Western Digital has a MyCloud NAS device, and that's network attached storage. And it has a vulnerability for authentication bypass that's been at least in for over a year. And the idea behind these devices is basically you network them and then you can access your movies, pictures, music, documents, whatever, from anywhere on the internet via this NAS device. And the problem with their particular vulnerability is that it really doesn't take much sophistication. Literally, the cookie that basically you have for authenticating to the device, you just basically set the username to admin, and then you have administrative access.
Yeah.
Oops.
So this actually, they're not the only one to do that. We've actually seen this same thing in the wild before, where you have a JavaScript application and a backend database or backend API that provides data. And the JavaScript application is meant to authenticate the user, and it did that. When it authenticated them, it set your role flag to like 0, 1, or 2. And if you're 2, you're super admin. Unfortunately, that
doesn't take much to figure that out.
It just accepted whatever the client told them. So if you connected to it and you told them role is 2, it gives you super admin access. It just doesn't care.
Moral of the story, authenticate server side, not client side.
Yes. Yeah.
So potentially because of this vulnerability now, as of Friday, Western Digital did have a hotfix available, provided people are actually updating their devices. But most of the time, people don't patch or update their devices. That's the problem with a lot of router vulnerabilities and that kind of thing. Just because these devices are connected to the internet. And same thing with IoT type devices. When they're not properly updated, because vulnerabilities like this just end up happening because of poor planning and manufacturing, or something's introduced as a feature and a consequence of that causes a vulnerability. So, I mean, the biggest thing is trying to keep these devices updated. So even though they have a hotfix now, there's still who knows how many devices that are potentially still susceptible, and maybe for months, weeks, maybe even years. So, and the thing is this is people's private data that's exposed for anybody. So, I mean, people may have resumes, they may have tax documents, they may have unsavory photos, like has happened with the iCloud stuff before.
So the one saving grace of this, if they set it up this way, is that the NAS should be behind your private network, behind your private firewall. And so the public internet should never have direct access to this device.
Correct.
So in order for somebody to exploit it, they have to either get a proxy access through your computer, which is possible through a back door, or otherwise be physically at your house. So it does restrict that level of access a little bit, but unfortunately if you, I don't know, enabled port forwarding so you could get to your files from anywhere in the world,
which is normally what happens,
so can everybody else. So moral of the story is that if you make your stuff publicly visible to the world, they will get in.
Use a VPN.
Yeah.
With encryption.
Well, otherwise it's not a VPN.
It's just a tunnel.
Yeah.
All right, you got me. I'm just saying, use a VPN because of encryption.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. OpenVPN. It's free.
It is. Well, they do have a paid version.
Oh, that's true.
Which I actually recommend the paid version. It's pretty cheap, and it has a point-and-click setup, so you don't have to worry about any of the scripts or any commands or anything. You just get it installed, log into the website for it, set the admin password for it, and then basically click Create User, download exe or download .zip or whatever you need, run that, and you're in. It's really easy.
Now, question, just because I know you're a big Unify fan, I'm a big MikroTik fan. We went back and forth about different router specs and nice things about both of those devices. Does Ubiquiti offer anything like that in their appliance where you can set up OpenVPN? Because I know MikroTik does, but it's not an easy process.
Yeah. MikroTik, it's a bit of a pain. Unify does support that. I'm not sure exactly what the VPN technology they're using, but they do support, at least for the centrally managed Unify line, they do support a VPN mode that you can set up client access in and site to site. And it's all done via the web GUI. So just point and click, create site tunnel, type in the information for the other tunnel. So they do offer that, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, if they did, I figured it'd probably be a lot simpler than the MikroTik version. The MikroTik version requires you to generate your own certificates and set up users. And I mean, it's a pretty straightforward process if you're familiar with setting up that kind of thing. But if you're not, it's a daunting task.
Right.
So,
and even if you are familiar with it, it's tedious. Like nobody wants to type in open SSL tac rec new tac.
L2TP VPN.
Okay, so they use L2TP.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with the Radius server. Cool.
Your Google new page looks weird. Everything's round. Why is everything round?
I don't know. It just is.
And that's Google Chrome? Hey, is that version 69?
It could be. Giggity.
Are his tabs trapezoids, or are they little cubes and look like Firefox?
No, it looks like Firefox.
69,
it's really confusing.
Yeah, they made the search bar and everything bubbly.
Yeah. Yeah, like...
You don't like it?
The address bar is round, that's round, those are round.
Like Charlie's having a seizure over here.
Like it's 2002 all over again.
Sudo apt-get install Safari.
Holy shit, the web supports rounded corners. Everything has to be round.
Oh, yes. Yes, I remember that.
That's like box shadows. Holy shit, the web supports box shadows. Everything has a shadow.
Yep.
No.
Marquees in the late 90s.
Yep.
And everything like glittery JavaScript horseshit that had your mouse trailing around anywhere on the website.
Yes, I remember that where you... Oh my god, that was terrible. Like, just don't do that, okay?
MIDI files.
Well, are we any better with auto-playing videos?
No. I hate those.
Yeah.
Remember MySpace?
No, I don't. I don't remember Tom.
MySpace. Remember GeoCities?
GeoCities. Now we're getting old.
Yeah. No, before we just really show our age. Moving back to...
Remember dial-up? That was a hoot. It was so cool because Mike had his own dedicated dial-up line.
There you go. That could be the intro sound. We can have a dial-up modem.
Yes. We
We're gonna
remember
actually do
the
an intro
Alamo.
sound. I always thought the original PlayStation had the coolest opening sound of anything ever.
That's
I would
true.
recommend that if it's not copyrighted by Sony.
I'm sure it's copywritten.
Oh yeah.
They copyright everything. Kind of.
I
Well,
guess a squelching modem can be our...
there we go. Maybe put some effects on the background of it. We can figure out something.
Auto-tune it.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Yep, that's the
I
exact
wonder
sound
what
we're gonna use.
now I'm really curious what a modem sound going through auto-tune sounds like.
Oh my god.
Anyway, we're closing in on end of time, so
Yeah.
I've got two things left I wanted to talk about. So Charlie asked last week if there was anything Linux related. Well, I found an article this week for Linux. It's the XBash malware. But it attacks both Linux and Windows. But on Linux, it's actually specially designed to target databases and delete them. Whereas it just mines coins on Windows. So Windows actually got...
I guess if you have a Windows system, it's good for... a Windows system is probably going to have just a couple things on it. Games, porn, and that's about it. I mean,
Office.
Yeah, Office. The ability to execute JavaScript in an Office doc. There you go.
Oh, yeah,
Everything,
that'll be soon.
So that makes sense. I mean, if you have a Linux system, it's probably something important. Like your critical database or critical web server or critical firewall or your critical communication device.
So about this, another really cheap Bitcoin thing, it's about $125 is all the ransomware authors were actually asking for. But it sounds like it could be quite prolific depending on how long it is before everybody patches everything or changes things. But it looks like basically it scans for multiple services, such as HTTP, VNC, MySQL, Memcached, which Memcached is another one of those services that has had a lot of issues recently, kind of like MongoDB.
Yeah.
FTP, Telnet, Elasticsearch, RDP, UPnP, NTP, DNS, SNMP, LDAP, CouchDB, which is very similar to MongoDB, or Oracle databases. And then basically it tries to brute force its way in with a list of credentials. Now, it doesn't say exactly... It uses a built-in dictionary, but it doesn't say whether it's compiled from other information from other data breaches or
It
what.
probably could be.
But that would be my assumption. But then basically, once it's logged in, then the malware deletes the database on the server, and they demand $125.
So it just completely deletes the database on the server. And
Yes.
that's awesome.
So it's reminiscent of NotPetya from last year, because that was a ransomware that looked like a ransomware, only basically it did all the encryption and everything, like held the data ransom, except for they never saved the key. So it literally destroyed the data.
Nice. So you'd have to brute force to get your data back.
Correct.
Cool.
Which only would take what?
It depends on the key. And
Yeah.
it depends on
I
the
believe
encryption.
they were 2048 or 4096-bit keys.
Okay. So at 4K.
So this particular payload, it deletes it,
Yeah.
right?
Correct.
So even if you pay the ransom, you're not getting your data back.
No.
Nope.
So back up.
Yes.
For the love
If you
of
run
God.
a database, for one, back it up and secure it.
Yes.
and more importantly, do not fucking have VNC, MySQL, Memcache, FTP, Telnet, Elasticsearch, RDP,
LDAP.
LDAP, CouchDB, RLogin.
Or
I don't even know what that is, but Oracle database. Don't have them publicly visible at all. Just don't.
Yeah, none of them need to be.
Oh. HTTP, okay, I guess you'll need. NTP if you're a name or a time server.
Right.
Yeah, time server. DNS, email, obviously, if you need those, and you need those. But don't have your database public. Just don't.
Yeah. Unless your consumer, whoever is consuming your service, requires the ability to connect, that way, don't have that exposed.
Right.
Like, for example, Memcache or Elasticsearch. That kind of stuff is all internal. You have internal systems attaching to those. Do not expose those to the internet. Obviously, if you're running a web server, you need HTTP, HTTPS available. If you're running a mail server, you need the mail ports available because that's what clients are going to use to connect and communicate. Same thing like you said with DNS or NTP. If you're running those services and providing that service, they need to be able to communicate on that particular port. RDP, we're not even going to get into that.
Why
VPN,
not?
then RDP. But all the services like MySQL, Memcached, I guess FTP, if you're running an FTP server, that needs to be exposed. But
again,
use
FTP,
SSH and FTP now. Don't use FTP.
yeah. I have seen some appliances that need FTP. That's the only backup option they have.
Mhm.
So what we did, actually, is on our firewall, we've allowed FTP, but we've only allowed it from specific IP addresses.
Yeah.
So only this one client location that needs FTP is allowed FTP. That's it. There's no reason to have it otherwise.
Yeah.
And I would prefer not to have it even open at all, but like I said, this older appliance doesn't support any encryption, so it is what it is.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's the problem with a lot of systems, and they support only older options, and you don't have a secured or better method. The other thing is, I think it mentioned SNMP in there. Don't expose SNMP to the internet.
Yep.
There is absolutely no good reason to expose SNMP to the internet.
No. Oh, so it creates a new table. Creates a table called
ransom note.
Please Read Me XYZ, containing one record,
Which is the ransom note.
which is the note.
Select star from.
That's nice.
Yeah. It was something interesting that it's not typically something you see or at least all that common. Most ransomware usually doesn't go out and do this.
Oh look, on Windows it will send a JavaScript or VB script downloader.
Well, imagine that.
To which it then uses to mine cryptocurrency.
Yeah. Well, put those systems to use somehow. Some good use out of them. Mine somebody else's crypto coin. Sure. You're not going to use the system otherwise.
That i7 you're just using for web browsing and your CPU's at 95%. Although if you're using Chrome, it's very possible you may just have too many tabs open.
Could be, yeah. I think Firefox is trying to do that too, but I don't think they've gotten there yet.
They're not nearly as bad. I usually Chrome, and then given I have multiple windows open with multiple tabs, but Chrome usually runs about as much as a VM for me as far as memory usage and CPU.
It is slightly ridiculous.
It's awful.
So what does it say? What cryptocurrency type they're using, or is it just mining Bitcoin?
I would assume Bitcoin
Okay.
or one of the. I don't know. I didn't see anywhere it's specified. It might have, but
Yeah.
I was more paying attention to what it did on Linux systems rather than Windows.
Yeah. That reminds me of an email I got the other day. More scams, but they're getting just absurdly lazy.
Yes.
Please stop spamming or something. And the message was, I would like to stop spamming you. Please send me $10 of Monero coin, and I will take your address off my list. That was the spam email. That was the entirety of it. So they are really not even trying anymore. They're just, I think they've just given up. They're just literally asking for a handout.
Yeah.
But I found it interesting that they're asking for Monero and not Bitcoin.
I don't know really jack about cryptocurrency, so I don't really know what the differences are between the different ones. I know that some of them use a different hashing algorithm, so basically it's either faster or slower, but as far as their actual value and what the difference is, I don't know.
That's the main thing. Also some little differences with how they're exchanged, how they're validated, because some of them there are only so many systems that can validate at a time, and therefore the price to transfer Bitcoin and to validate that transaction goes up. Other ones, like I believe Monero, the simultaneous transaction validation is a lot higher. It can do a lot more in an instant or simultaneously. And so the cost of transferring Monero is a lot lower than Bitcoin.
Oh, okay.
So if you're asking for $10 in Bitcoin, it's going to cost you $12 to send it. As opposed with Monero, if you ask for $10, it'll cost you 10 cents to send it.
Gotcha. Okay. And then the last thing I had, going back to kind of Shodan, and RDP also, and why those should never be exposed to the internet. So, Dark Reading had an article about RDP ports being hot commodities on the dark web. So, basically, there is a huge market for this, and it's been around. This is nothing new. It's been around for a long time. But if you basically have RDP credentials too, like if you just do an RDP search on Shodan, you'll find far too many remote desktop instances that are basically exposed directly to the internet. And while some of them are honeypots, most of them are actual like systems. And unfortunately, a lot of people still you have really weak passwords and everything. And even if it's gained through some sort of data breach, but the credentials that are actually used, you can basically go around if you're a criminal and brute force these different logins and then take those credentials and then sell them on the dark web. And depending on the type of company it is, people will pay quite a bit because of the potential other data breaches they may be able to have, such as credit card information, identity information, that kind of thing. So don't expose RDP to the internet. And that's pretty much the big takeaway on this. But there are, and I imagine there's a market for other services too, not just RDP. But RDP is one of the biggest ones just because Windows is so prolific in the enterprise environment.
Well, that only makes sense. Same thing with emails. There's a black market for email usernames and passwords, so
yeah,
any type of proxy service that you can get or credential, if there's a demand for it, there's a market for it.
Yep. And there's always a demand for any type of credential.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So short answer is, don't make it easy for them.
Yes. It's the same reason that you want your password to be very, very long and random. The idea is, yes, regardless of whether your password is 10,000 characters long, eventually brute force will crack it. The idea is to make it completely time-wise infeasible to do so that they're just like, screw it, I'll go for the low-hanging fruit.
Or chances are that a website's going to be compromised and the login script sends the post fields or the information that you enter on a website to a third party, and they just store it in plain text.
I was going to say MD5, but yeah, there's been too many plain text issues as well.
Yeah. Well, similar to the Newegg breach, where they're just grabbing the fields in plain text and sending it just plainly to themselves, not even hiding it or anything.
Well, yeah, because typically you think when you're sending something to yourself, you don't need to...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's bad.
Yep.
Don't worry about what I'm doing over here. You look over there.
So what are you looking up? Are you trying to Shodan yourself?
I already did that.
Oh, find anything cool?
Yeah.
That's not good.
Nope, not good. I even updated my packages, but it still says that I have the...
It might take a while for it to rescan it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
unless you have an actual account with APIs and stuff, you can't do live scans. You're looking at archive data.
Yep.
So it may take some time to update.
What do you...
Charlie has an account, though. Charlie can help you out.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
How do you check your version?
Of what?
What's from the terminal? Of Apache.
I mean, you could just run Nmap and be able to get some of the actual banners and everything back.
How about this? apt-cache. It helps if you're on the terminal.
Shush you.
Control
-cache.
Alt T.
The command. Yep. Show pkg. All one command. And then Apache 2. And that will show you information about that particular package.
Whoa.
So at the very bottom, it says provides. Right there.
And that is not good.
Is that a vulnerable version?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What OS are you running on there?
Debian.
Debian stable?
Mm-hmm.
Then they should have a security fix for it. At least as long as you have the security repo installed.
May have to go to the more bleeding edge repos.
Well, no, for the stable, for the maintained versions, they backport security fixes.
Okay.
But in order to get that, you have to make sure that you have the security repo enabled. Because they have their base repo, and then they have the security one, which they publish to for these types of incidents.
Gotcha.
And it should be installed. It should be enabled by default, but it could be disabled.
Mm-hmm. Possible.
etc /apt. No, don't cd there. You actually want etc apt. No, cd etc apt. Enter. And the file's actually here. Sources.list.
Ah.
Yeah.
Didn't he just tell me not to CD? Like, I swear to God he said that.
Okay, so we have the main...
Security. Right there.
Yep, security. W-security, yep. So you have them, so you should have it.
Yeah.
Have you run apt-get update?
Yes.
Okay.
Did you do an upgrade or dist upgrade?
Both.
I think security comes with upgrades.
Okay. I noticed a lot of times, like, dist upgrade will actually clean up old crap. And
Yeah, dist upgrade, they have some,
Auto remove.
yeah. Dist upgrade, it'll update the kernel and major versions like that. So there's a high chance of something breaking, but you get a newer version.
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, that was all I had. I don't know if you guys have anything else before we close up.
Man. We learned a lot today. Close your RDD. You know what? Just close all your ports. Okay. If you got a port and you're not using it, close it. If you don't need it, close it. If you're dumb like me and you make a 444 port for one thing that you did for 10 minutes and then never close it, close it.
Because Shodan will find it.
Because Shodan will find it. Anyone can find it. They go to your website.
Yep.
It's easy.
They go to your website, they have the Shodan plugin added into Chrome, it lights up like a Christmas tree, they go, oh!
Yay! So, the Shodan plugin for Chrome, is there a plugin for Firefox as well?
Yes. I have not looked into that yet. I would assume so.
That
one for Chrome is quite effective.
It is. I believe there is one for Firefox.
Let's see. How do I get to add-ons? There it is.
I always use Chrome://extensions.
Okay. Yeah.
Shodan IO, right?
It's like Firefox. You have to click it
Add
a bunch of different times.
There you go. It's there.
Shodan. .io?
.io.
Oh.
That's
awesome.
so pretty. Come to daddy. You weird circular glob.
Yeah, you're in your whatever. Okay, so let's give this a shot. So we'll do Google, and we have a little number 2 beside it, which you can't see, but it's hiding up here.
How do you have a 2? I only have a 1.
Oh, it doesn't even show in the live stream. Oh, that's unfortunate. Oh well.
You're on a different... Oh, because you're connected to a different Google.
Yeah, because Google has a bunch of different IPs, and so you go to google.com, and it has one of...
You just get whichever one comes up
yeah.
first.
Yeah, exactly.
Neat.
So we see that it's running in an Amazon AWS data center in the US West location.
Google's running on Amazon?
Who knows?
That's weird.
My connection's running from Boardman, the city. Yours is also in Boardman, yeah.
Boardman, yeah.
Which I guess is their location. Oh, view host details. Is that open?
Mm-hmm. Takes you right to the Shodan page.
Excellent.
That's where I was able to show Drew the exploits that were available for, or vulnerabilities rather, that were available for his particular setup.
Makes sense.
Yeah, go to eval's website. Check out the vulnerability there.
Do we have some?
Yeah, just one.
Is it jQuery?
No.
Oh, figured it would be. jQuery's
Go to openintel.org. There's nothing there. Yay, static HTML.
Sometimes simple is the best route.
Yep.
Well,
It's your SFTP server.
Well, you're also running from my house.
So?
Oh, yeah, I guess that would be Shodan, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yeah, that's an unfortunate side effect of clients backing up over SFTP is that you need to allow SFTP.
Bummer.
Yeah, I know. I would prefer if we didn't have SSH open, but like I said, clients requested to be able to back up. So it's either FTP or SFTP with password auth disabled.
I guess that works though, because if you're just exchanging keys and not passwords.
Yeah. They're not, but if you still gain the key, you gain access.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is harder to brute force an SSH key than a password.
For sure.
Yeah.
Significantly.
Yeah. So we at least have some things in place, but yeah, it would still be best not to have it. But oh well.
Well, look on the bright side. You have 5 less vulnerabilities than me.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well,
that sounds like about a good place.
let's keep playing with Shodan and
pat your shit.
Yeah, pat your shit. Charlie says, pat your shit.
Yes. Or as they would, there it is. Or as they would say on Jupiter Broadcasting, the show that I used to watch, pat your S. They try to be family safe or family friendly, whatever the fuck.
I was going to say, I thought that was the Canadian dude's
There's Alan,
tagline.
yeah.
The Canadian dude.
Alan's slogan is pat your S. Yep.
Pat your S.
Yep.
What's the S stand for?
Shite.
Oh, okay.
So, on that note...
We love you, Charlie's mom.
Until next time.
Yep. So until next time, possibly next week. We'll see. So, take care and be safe and pat your S.
Close your ports.
Pat your asshole.
Close your ports, too.